Hi everyone, it's Annie with Manor Farms Homestead. So today I'm in the kitchen getting ready to make some Christmas soap. It's late September, and if you cold process soap, it's definitely time to get started with your Christmas soaps. So we're going to actually be making a soap that smells and looks somewhat like apple pie. So I have two fragrance oils that I'll be using today. One is a vanilla apple cinnamon fragrance oil, and this discolors cold processed soap to brown. So we're going to actually use this as one of our colorants in our soap, in addition to its property as a fragrance oil. We also have Christmas spice. So both of these fragrance oils will be used in this soap to give us our ultimate apple pie, spicy type, Christmassy holiday aroma. The Christmas spice discolors to just a light brown off-white kind of color. So we're also going to use this to our advantage in the soap to make some color variations in it. Additionally, I'm going to be sprinkling a little bit of red biodegradable glitter on the top for additional color. So what we're going to use for our color pattern design is the fragrance oil that discolors to a dark brown in one of our containers of soap batter. I've got titanium dioxide. It's about 1.5 teaspoons mixed with about 1 tablespoon of olive oil in this container, and we're going to use this as one of our colorants. Then our main batch of soap here will have the Christmas spice fragrance oil, which discolors to a light brown in that batter. We're going to add our dark brown and our light brown in a swirl design in here, and we're going to pour our white batter, which has no discolorating fragrance oil in it at all, over the top to give us the illusion of like whipped cream or something like that on the top. So let's get started with our recipe. What I have here is the melted oils. You can see there's still a little bit of non-melted palm oil and lard in here. We'll microwave this probably about 20-30 seconds more to get these pieces dissolved. But this is 10 ounces of lard, 20 ounces of palm oil, 10 ounces of coconut oil, 4 ounces of sweet almond oil, 4 ounces of avocado oil, 4 ounces of shea butter, and 2 ounces of castor oil. It also has 16 ounces of liquid olive oil. So this comes to a grand total of 70 ounces of oil, and I've run that through a lye calculator based on my specific types of oil in this recipe and got the calculation on how much lye that we'll need. So let's get on over to measuring out our lye and getting it mixed with our liquid. Today we're going to be using milk as our liquid in this particular soap. Okay, we're set up here to measure out our lye, and for this particular soap we are using a 5% super fat, which means our lye needs to come to 9.58 ounces. So we're going to go ahead and zero out our kitchen scale on the ounces setting and measure out 9.58 ounces. So we're going to go ahead and slowly start adding our lye to our ice cubes of milk, and I've measured this out. I have a few actual ice cubes in here that are not milk. I wanted to get to 26 ounces of fluid for this particular recipe. I'm using the max amount of liquid recommended, just so I have a nice fluid soap that I'm able to swirl well. Always add your lye to your liquid mixture, even if it's frozen liquid. You'll do this a little bit along and stir. And with anything like ice cubes, milk ice cubes, it will just really slowly start to melt these. Be really careful so you don't slosh it anywhere until the cubes start to melt down a little bit more. The lye has a reaction with the liquid and will put off heat, so these cubes will actually start to melt pretty quickly. It's ideal if you have a little bit larger container, just so that you can stir it a little easier without knocking anything out. Make sure you have gloves on and eye protection while you're working with lye. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit more lye to this so we can get this melting a little bit better. Now this is a slightly larger recipe than I typically work with. Normally I have a little bit more room to stir my ice cubes than what we have today. This is melting and coming together nicely. Just be real deliberate and slow about getting this mixed in. Definitely try to avoid sloshing on anything. It will melt as you add your lye. Okay, we have all of our lye mixed in with our milk ice cubes. We're just going to keep stirring this until all of the cubes are dissolved. The nice thing about using frozen milk in a soap mixture is that you don't have to wait a long time for your lye solution to cool down because you used ice. It is pretty much at soaping temperature once you get all of your little cubes dissolved. And for new soapers, as far as the safety of lye goes, the antidote to lye, which is a extremely basic compound, is acid. So if you have a little cup of vinegar sitting out around your work area, that's helpful just in case you were to get a tiny little splash on you. You can dab it with some just regular white vinegar or any kind of vinegar you have that's a 5% acid solution, and it will neutralize the basic component of the lye mixture, which is very caustic to the skin. So you do want to stir your lye solution until you don't feel any grittiness in the solution. If you're using just water instead of milk, the solution will go from an opaque color to a clear color. Okay, so our lye solution is ready at this point. This is perfect. Our milk did not scorch, and that's one of the big things whenever you're making a milk soap. You want to add your lye very slowly, and you need your milk frozen like we had today. That way you end up with a nice white mixture like this instead of anything that's dark orange or yellow where the milk has scorched from the heat of the lye. This is perfect. This is exactly how you want it to turn out whenever you're using milk in a soap recipe. All right, so we're back over here and getting ready to soap. Now this is a very fast moving process once you mix your lye in with your oils because it's gonna start setting up. So you have to have everything laid out, ready to go and prepared to soap. So stay with me while we do this really quickly. I wanted to mention the measurements on our fragrance oil. We are using 2.3 ounces of the Christmas spice oil that's going to go into our main batter. We're using 1.7 ounces of the apple, vanilla, cinnamon fragrance oil that's going to go into one component of our soap batter. So let's get started. This lye solution is perfect. It's at a really low temperature because we use the iced milk. We did reheat these oils. in the microwave to get everything melted. This is probably at about 120 degrees just based on the feel of it. That's about where you want to soak. Our lye is actually a little bit cooler than that just because of the ice. So we're at the ideal temperature for soaping is about 120, and you like to have both of your components about the same temperature before you soap. Again, at this point, this is a little bit cooler than this, but it will be fine. So here we go. One thing I wanted to point out, I do have two of my attachments for my immersion blender. One of these I'm going to use in my white soap because I don't want any fragrance oil in this that will cause it to darken. I want this to stay white. I also already have my soap mold set up and ready to pour my batter into. Always set your lye bowl well out of your reach so that it doesn't get knocked over or spilled on anything. Once you've poured your lye mixture into your oil mixture, just mix it gently with your spatula. And like I said, this is a little bit larger of a batch that I usually work with. So I have 3 molds. So you do want to make sure you're not sloshing this on yourself. So go gently with your immersion blender. It's also nice to have towels at hand that you can wipe. Even though you have gloves on, wipe yourself as you go. So we're gonna go ahead and get this to trace. We're gonna use the low setting just to pulse. And trace is just where your soap batter has thickened and completely emulsified. We're there. Everything's emulsified in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pour part of our batter into our titanium dioxide mixture. We'll get that mixed first because that's not going to accelerate our batter. You can use sodium lactate in your soap and that makes a harder bar of soap, but it also does accelerate your process. So you will have less time and less ability to create nice swirls in your soap. So just keep that in mind if you're working with sodium lactate. I'm going to emulsify our white batter. All right, so this is our topping. I'm just going to kind of set this aside while we work on the remaining batter. Again, no fragrance oil in this, just the titanium dioxide to whiten it. All right, now we're going to work pretty quickly with our remaining batter. These are our fragrance oils. And we're going to go from our lighter batter into our darker batter. All right, so you're not going to see a big difference at this point in time in your batter that's going to turn a dark brown, which is this container of batter, versus the one that will stay just kind of a light brown. So you're just going to have to go work with it blindly at this point as far as your swirl design. As you can see, it's staying pretty liquidy, still completely a consistency that we can work with to swirl. So what I'm actually going to do is pour a little base layer of our dark in each of these molds. We're just going to kind of spread that out in the bottom of all of our molds. I like to get every bit of my soap batter into the molds. All right. And I'm getting these all over the bottom. Now we're going to pour our next main batter, which is going to be a light brown, over the remaining molds. Smells so good. It smells like apple pie. You definitely need gloves on at this point because you are handling raw soap batter. So for this swirl design, I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with my spatula so that we can swirl some of that dark up into the lighter colored batter. do that with each of them. And again, you kind of have to use your imagination with this soap because you can't tell much difference in these soap batters at this point. They just look the same. All right, now we're going to go over these with our white batter. And this is set up a little bit, but that is fine because we want this to be dolloped on like whipped cream. So that's what we're going to basically do, is just kind of dollop this in. Soap batter is behaving really well at this point. All right, we're going to get all of this spread on top of our soap. So you want to kind of evenly cover the top of all of your soap. Alright, so all of that's in, but we want to make some nice little mounds on top of our whipped cream on top. But let's get our air bubbles smacked out first. Edges a little bit. All right, now we're ready to make our dollop designs. However you want to dollop your whipped cream. We're just going to basically go down and make whatever kind of little design you want to. Now we're ready to put our glitter on top. I'm just gonna wash my hands real quick. So this is our bio glitter. So I usually gift soap at Christmas time along with like lip balms and lotions, face scrubs, salt scrubs, things like that. I like to do little gift baskets for my kids' teachers at Christmas. You may have noticed that I said September is a great time to start working on your Christmas soaps. If you are cold process soaping, you do want to have at least 6 weeks of setup time. So that's why starting early to make sure your soaps are ready before Christmas is a good idea. So we're gonna spray the tops of these with isopropyl alcohol. That helps prevent soda ash. It's not really a big deal in this particular situation because our tops are white, so the soda ash is white and you really wouldn't notice it on these, but it's just kind of habit of me to go ahead and spray the tops of those. These are silicone molds that are nicely insulated, and we're going to go ahead and top them off with a towel just to hold the heat in for the cold process soaping. Okay, our soap has been sitting for about 18 hours. We're gonna go ahead and get this sliced this morning. Show you the loaves. I always check the loaves and make sure they're cooled off completely. That's how you know that you're done with the molding process. So this is still just a tiny bit tacky on the bottom. I will probably actually let these other two sit for a little longer. We will go ahead and get this cut up. A couple of spots here on the bottom that I didn't smack hard enough to get the air bubbles out. But that's our loaf. So every now and then you'll have a loaf that just doesn't set up quite as fast. That's not a problem. This soap obviously needs just a little bit more time to make sure that the loaves are completely hardened over. But here's our cut. And in through here where we've swirled the two different fragrance oils, as it comes in contact with the air today, we should see some variations in tone with our darkened area on the bottom. You can see a little bit there, but it should be a little bit more pronounced as it comes in contact with the air. We probably could have used a little bit more titanium dioxide in this recipe just to get a whiter white for our topping on our soap. This smells really good. It smells just like apple pie. And that's it. We'll go ahead and get the rest of this loaf cut up. And like I said, these other two loaves I'll probably let sit the rest of today before I actually pull them out of the mold, so we don't have any any soft spots that stick to the mold. All right, I just wanted to come back and show you the color variations in our soap now that it has sat for a couple of days, so you can see the variation of colors just based on the different types of fragrance oils that were used in this soap. A little bit of darker discoloration in the bottom, lighter on the top, to give us kind of that marbled apple pie filling appearance. So these smell really great, a lot like apple pie. I do wish that I had used a little bit more titanium dioxide in the topping for our soap, just so we would have had a much whiter colored whipped cream appearance. The ones that I made last year, I guess I used a little bit more, and they turned out much brighter in color. So these are more of just kind of a beige off-white color, but it's still a pretty soap. And as you can see up on the top, we have the little bio glitter. So this will be a nice Christmas soap to put in my gift boxes for the kids' teachers.